Chevra, I may have an unpopular opinion over here. What do we get up to? Chevra, I may have an unpopular opinion over here. Forget it. I'm not going to share it. It's an unpopular opinion. What am I doing over here? Basically, it has to do with, it relates to the power washers. I'm not a power washer. They used to come every once in a while, so beseder, that was acceptable. Now they come every day at 7 in the morning, and they make a lot of noise. I think I'd rather, this is my unpopular opinion, I think I'd rather the neighborhood smells like pish than we have to listen to this noise every day at 7 in the morning. I don't know that the trade-off is worth it. I don't know, I go out every 2 days just to buy a few things. Maybe I think the trade-off would be worth it. Just, leave us alone, Just leave the people alone. Let them record Babylon Talmud in peace, But I have my noise canceling headphones now, so that helps immensely, because I don't hear it right now. But I'm not always recording Babylon Talmud. Maybe you don't realize that. I'm not always recording Babylon Talmud. Sometimes I do other things too, like prepare Babylon Talmud and complain. What, you think I you think I only complain to you? What do you think I do the rest of the day? The rest of the day everything's hunky-dory? No. What do I complain when I'm recording? I complain when I'm not recording. All right. Well. All right. Let's go weiter. All right. Okay. All right. Okay, fine. So, should I roll up my sleeves? I feel like I should roll up my sleeves. All right, friends. What should we talk about while I roll up my sleeves? What should we talk about while I roll up my sleeves? We could talk about today's daf, but I don't really remember what it talks about. I think maybe the first part is okay. I think the second part is quicker than the first part. Yeah, I'm still recording the mornings again. Yeah, I kind of like recording in the mornings. It's a fast day, Lamaisa, when I'm recording right now. But that's all right. It's a Friday. Okay, done rolling with my sleeves. Let's jump in. We're going to start in Daf Nun with base. Right on the first of the wide lines, Tanya Amr Bishua says, so there are 4 things that if a person does them, so he's Pater Medine Adam, which means that on this world, the world that we live in, the world of the power washers, so you can't take somebody to account, probably. I don't know, is that even the phrase? You can't take them to, let's just say that. You can't take them to account in this world, which is that's in the potter. The mice of the potter, there's nothing we can do to them. But Chai B'dinei Shamayim, but in the heavens, Ve'eluin, these are the 4 scenarios. Haporitz Geder B'fnei Bemas Chavero, somebody who knocks down, demolishes a wall, enabling his friend's animal to scram. Where am I? And somebody who, I don't know, goes to his friend's wheat stalks and bends them towards the fire and then they get burned. Okay? Somebody who hires false witnesses. Okay, to testify. That seems schwer. And somebody who knows testimony on behalf of his friend, and he does not give it. Okay, that is a sugya we're going to learn about Masechta Shavuos. What time is it? 7 in the morning. It's a fast day today. Baruch Hashem. I've already had 2 coffees, but I'm maybe a little tired. Normally when I record in the morning, I have my coffee next to me, and I could drink coffee while I record. It's very, very nice. But not today. We're fasting. Asar B'Tevis, we're fasting. Who can tell me what happened on Asar B'Tevis? What did we learn about that? Masechta Tainis? I guess. What happened on Asar B'Tevis? They sieged the siege of Jerusalem. The siege of Jerusalem. That was Modna. Omar, we said, Haporitz Geder Bifnei Bemas Chavero. So we said that if somebody knocks down, demolishes a wall, enabling his friend's animal to leave, Heichidami, No, what's the scenario? Ilim b'kosel bari. If we're talking about a big sturdy wall, so then b'dini adam nami nichayev. What do you mean that he's potter b'dini adam? Should be chayev. He demolished his friend's wall. So ella b'kosel ra'ua. And we're talking about a flimsy wall, a wall that anyways was going to fall down. So potter b'dini adam, but chayev b'dini shamayim. Omer Mai, we said hakoifev komaso shachaveru bifnei adleka. So somebody who I'm imagining, I don't know, you go up to your friend's stalks and you bend it towards a fire and it gets burnt. So echidami, what's the scenario? Well, if what he did was he, I don't know, angled these stalks in such a way that just, a fire would burn them, just even in a ruach mitzuya. It was obvious that what he was doing was going to be destroying these this grain. So then, what do you mean? Potter b'dini adam? Shvichai b'dini adam. Elo demache bruach she'ena mitzuya. No, what he did was he built these. He bent these stalks, but now under normal circumstances they would have been fine. The fire would not have affected them. But then a big gust of wind, an unexpected gust of wind comes and now burns them. And look what you did. Ravashi says, Ravashi. Tamun itmar mishum deshavya tamun boish baram. That right, when it comes to eish, to a fire, things that were hidden are potter, right? So if you have like a mound of stuff, and hidden in the mound is some other things, and the fire comes and burns the mound and burns the things that's in the mound, and the person chayiv for the fire would be potter for the stuff that was hidden. So here also, right, if somebody goes, if there's a fire and then he hides his friend's stuff, so now his friend is not going to be able to collect damages for it because the person who made the fire is going to be potter for hidden things. So the person who did the covering basically, messed up his friend because his friend now can't make any claim, can't claim the damages. So potter b'dinei adam v'chayiv b'dinei shamayim. Omar Mai, we said hasocher eidei sheker, a person who hires false witnesses. Eichidami, what's the scenario? I lemadin linafshe. Well, if he hired false witnesses for himself in order to make his friend have to pay money, well then, mamona ba'i shalume, uvdini adam nami nichayev. Well, if he's causing his friend to lose money because he hired these false witnesses, and now his friend loses money because of it, so what do you mean he's potter b'dinei adam? Shvichayv b'dinei adam. Elo lechavre. Rather, he hired false witnesses on behalf of his friend. On behalf of his friend. And that's why he's potter. And a person who knows testimony to testify for his friend, and he doesn't testify. What's the scenario? If we're talking about two people who have testimony, well, then pshita, de'oraisu, obviously it's going to be a problem. Midoraisa, right? It says that you have to give the testimony, right? There's a halacha that if you know testimony, you have to give it. So if there's two people, now aid, as we know from Masechta Sotaf, as we know from Masechta maybe Gittin also, probably, that it's two witnesses. So ela b'chad, but with one witness, so midoraisa, with one witness, it's so we're saying that if it's one witness, so one witness is not going to be enough in order to actually, one witness we don't rely on one witness, so it's not enough. But one witness, friends, as you may know, one witness is enough to be mechayev a shvu, right? So if one witness knows that, somebody owes money, so then it's enough to make him swear that he doesn't. So here also, like maybe if he would come, and while he can't, his testimony won't be enough to actually make anybody, pay money, but it will be enough to make them swear, and the sort of the thought of having to swear may be intimidating enough for the person to just admit that he owes the money, and therefore this one witness does have a role to play over here. And if he doesn't play his role, if he doesn't give his testimony, so then while he's potter b'dinei adam, he'll be chayav b'dinei shamayim. This would be where normally I would take a sip of coffee. One second. These are the 4 examples of Potter b'dinei adam v'chai b'dinei shamayim. 4 examples. V'zeu. What about ha'osa melacha b'meichatos of paras chatos Potter b'dinei adam v'chai b'dinei shamayim bara? What about a person who does melacha with meichatos, with the water that has the ashes of the paraduma mixed in there? Right? We learned in Masechta Gittin that maybe you use it as like a weight. For a scale to when you're selling stuff, or uviparas chatos. Sorry, I need to have more coffee. Or with a paras chatos, or the paraduma itself. So patim b'dinei adam v'chai b'dinei shamayim. How is that for a translation? What about the following example? What about a person who puts poison in front of his friend's animal? So he's what about the following example? A fellow sends a flame with a cherish shoyte v'koyin. What about the following example? What about a fellow who blows something really loud into his friend's ear? Not nice. So what about this example? That if a fellow's jug breaks in Rishus Harabim and he leaves it there, or his camel collapses in Rishus Harabim and he does not leave it there, he just leaves it. He does not pick it up, he just leaves it there. Rameir says he's chayiv, the owner is chayiv. Whereas the Chacham say, Potter b'dinei adam v'chayiv b'dinei shamayim. Ho. So now we have all of these examples, lots of examples, more than just the 4 that we started with. Tons of examples of Potter b'dinei adam v'chayiv b'dinei shamayim in Mia Ika Tuva v'hane itzrichale. Yes, there are many examples of Potter b'dinei adam v'chayiv b'dinei shamayim. These 4 examples that Reb Yoshua listed, however, needed a shtickle chizik, needed to be stated explicitly, because Ma'adatei I may have thought b'dinei shamayim nami lo lichayiv. I may have thought in these 4 examples, as we're going to elaborate upon in just a second, I may have thought that in these 4 examples they would also be potter b'dinei shamayim as well. Kamash malon. Therefore, what Rabbi Yeshua is teaching us is that no, these examples as well, you're going to be chayiv b'dinei shamayim. So somebody who knocks down, breaches a wall before his friend's animal, and then it escapes. So we said it's talking about a shaky wall which was going to fall down anyways, right? So Ma'adatema may have thought came to the mistari koi. Well, since it had to be destroyed anyways, ma ovid. So what did this guy who knocked it down do? It had to be knocked down anyways. It was a rickety wall. So b'dinei shamayim nami lo lichayiv. So I may have thought that maybe he's also part of b'dinei shamayim. Kamash malan is chayiv b'dinei shamayim. Hakofif kamaso shel chaveru nami. And also when it comes to somebody who bends over his friend's wheat stalks and it gets burnt, Ma'adatema may have thought lema, let the bender say, Mi hava yadaina da'asi ruach she'ena metzuya. How was I supposed to know that in unnatural wind, a sudden humongous gust of wind would come and shift the fire, and now because of what I did, your stuff burnt down? How was I to expect that? That came out of nowhere. And maybe you should not be chayiv b'dinei shamayim. Kamash malon that itaka is chayiv b'dinei shamayim. And according to Rav Ashi, who says nami tomun itmar, and also Rav Ashi, who said that it's talking about a scenario where he hid his friend's stuff before the fire, and that's where he's chayiv b'dinei shamayim. Meaning, because since he hid it, so the person whose stuff got burned cannot make any claims, because hever eish is what was it? Maver and hever, hever eish. Eish is potter for hidden things. So he kind of messed up his friend, so he's going to be potter b'dinei adam v'chayiv b'dinei shamayim. But Ma'adatema, I may have thought to argue in that scenario as well. He can make the argument, what do you mean? I was trying to help you. I was trying to help you. I was trying to be a good friend. I saw that there was a fire coming. I covered up your stuff so that it shouldn't get burned. Now you're coming and saying, well, it did get burned and now I can't make any claims because you covered it. So yeah, bidiyuk. We say chayav b'din shamayim. Yeah, Taka, you didn't do a good thing, it sounds like. He should not have covered his friend's stuff. And he's going to be patur b'din yodin, but chayav b'din shamayim. V'aseicher yedei sheker nami, and oichet, somebody who hires false witnesses on behalf of his fellow. Ma'adutem, I may have thought, lema divrei harav v'divrei hatalmud divrei mi shomin. I may have thought that the hirer can make the argument, look, you're right, I did something modna. But at the end of the day, divrei harav v'divrei hatalmud divrei mi shomin. Look, if you have to make a decision between listening to what Hashem wants or listening to what I want, why'd you listen to me? You should have listened to Hashem. It's not my fault that you made the wrong choice. So therefore, I might think, therefore the hirer should not be chayiv because it's ultimately the fault of the I don't know, I guess the false witnesses, or maybe the false witnesses, whatever it is. He's trying to shift blame onto somebody else. But we're saying no, kamash malon, that he's going to be chayiv b'dinei shamayim. Sorry, I've been rubbing my nose a bunch and I haven't apologized to my mom, so I will apologize now. Sorry, Mom. And somebody who knows testimony for his friend, and it doesn't testify, nami oichet. I may have thought, miyemer dechiava misaydina le hava mode dilma hava mishtabel l'shikra. Right. Also, the fellow who knows testimony and doesn't give it, so he also could make the argument that, look, what's the reason why I have to give testimony? I can't actually make anybody pay any money. I'm only just one guy. You have to have two to make, to actually be mechayiv anybody. At the most, what I can do is I can be mechayiv a shvuah. And you're assuming that, well, if I show up and now the guy's going to have to make a shvuah, he's going to think twice and say, you know what, I don't want to make a shvuah. I'd rather admit that I owe the money. But who says that would happen? Maybe fakert would happen. Maybe the opposite would happen. Maybe he would go all in and dig in his heels and swear falsely, which would be even worse. So why is it my fault? Maybe what I would have done wouldn't have helped. It would have made things worse. Kamash Milan, leave your excuses at home. You're going to be chayav b'dinei shamayim. Nifritza balaylo shaputzu alistim param. So we said that if a where am I? Wait, what? What did the Mishnah say? Listen, okay. Wait, what? Wait, what are we talking about? Wait, what? Oh, this is not nifritza balala potter. Kigon shechasar behema v'pila akos donasu. Okay. Fine. So the Mishnah had said nifritza balalo shepatzu alistim v'chulei. So if the wall had been breached at night, or bandits came and they breached the wall, amarabavu shechasra. Then when we say that if the wall got breached at night, it's talking about a scenario where the animal, I guess the sheep, right, that the animal kind of dug into the wall, right, was digging by the wall and caused it to breach that way. Avalo chasra mai chayiv. Okay. So we're saying that he's only potter if the wall is breached at night, if the animal was like kind of digging under it. But if not, if it just kind of fell down, so then he would be chayiv if the animal got out and caused damage. Hey chidam, what's the scenario? If we're talking about a strong, starker wall, so then why would he be chayiv? Kilo chasra amai chayiv. Why should he be chayiv? It was onus, right? What could he have done? If there was a good, strong wall that that he did everything he was supposed to do, he put up a strong, solid wall, and somehow it fell down. Crazy. So he should be potter regardless of the scenario. It was onus. Rather, we're talking about a flimsy wall. Well then, ki chasra amai potter. But then, why is he potter if it digs under the wall, right? Meaning if you have a flimsy wall that is an inappropriate wall, it's not a proper wall. It's gonna fall down. You have to destroy it. So then he should be chayiv, and I don't care that the animal happened to have dug underneath it. That makes no difference. He had an improper wall, he should be chayiv. So tchilasu b'pshia v'sofa ba'onesu. It's a scenario of tchilasu b'pshia v'sofa ba'ones, which is an interesting concept, right? Meaning, to begin with, there was an inappropriate, an improper scenario. To begin with, there was a flimsy wall that had no business being there. So he was posheya, he was negligent. Interestingly, what ended up happening though, was that the animal didn't just, breach the wall and get out, or the wall didn't just fall down on its own and get out. The animal ended up digging under the wall and getting out that way, which sort of, in a vacuum, you can argue like, oh wow, it's ones. What was I didn't know that the animal was going to kind of dig underneath and get out. But if you look in the bigger context, it was ones within the context of poshe. Like, there was an improper scenario to begin with. Yeah, it happens to be that ultimately the animal ended up digging in. But to begin with, there was a scenario that, the animal was destined to get out anyways. So like, it happened to be dug out, but like, the fact of the matter is, it would have gotten out on its own anyways, because you have such an improper setup to begin with. So it's tchilasu ba'ones, something that started out as negligence, tchilasu b'pshia, something that started out as negligence, v'sof ba'ones, then it happened to have ended up being ones, but milchatchila was already a negligent scenario. So well, if you say that a scenario like this, where it's tchilasu b'pshia, v'sofa ba'ones is potter, because at the end of the day, it was an ones. So then, okay, I get it. So you'll be potter in this case as well, right? If the animal digs, you're going to be potter. But according to the opinion who says that tchilasu b'pshia v'sof ba'ones is chayiv because it was tchilasu b'pshia, well then, why would you be potter when the animal digs under this flimsy wall? Okay, rather the Mishnah is talking about a strong wall. Mishnah is talking about a strong wall. And yeah, the truth is, if that wall, randomly falls down, it's an ones, regardless, so you don't even need the animal to dig under the wall. It's just, it's an ones situation. And you'd be potter. Because it was a strong wall. Right? Yeah, there was no indication that it was going to fall. Nor did you have to assume it was going to fall. When Rabbah talks about digging under the wall, aseifa itmar, he's talking about the next part of the Mishnah. Hinicha BavaKama. If you left out your sheep in the sun, where it was going to die, it couldn't stay there. It was going to fight for its life. It was going to figure out how to get out of there. Or if he gave the sheep to a cheresh shortifikatan, which is irresponsible. Both of those scenarios are scenarios where, the sheep is going to get out and cause damage. And sure enough, it got out and it caused damage. Amar Rabba, says Rabba, va'afilu chasra. And even if the animal dug its way out, which is ones, still is going to be chayiv. Certainly where it did not dig under the wall and it got out in this scenario, the whole situation is posheya. Right? He left out the animal in the sun, or he gave the animal to cheresh shortifikatan. Even if the animal dug under the wall, because I might think, well, look, it started out in a posheya scenario, but it ended up ones. But no, kamash malon, it's entirely pshia. This is not a situation of tchilasu b'pshia v'sof ba'ones, in which case you could think, well, maybe it's machlokas, it's chayiv potter. No, this is pshia through and through. My time I'll come, the Omar le meda yodat dichev deshav koso BavaKama, because you must have surely known that if you're going to leave an animal out in the sun, it's going to dehydrate, it's going to die, it's going to do whatever it needs to get the heck out of there. Kol tatzdaka deislo leme'ebed avda v'nafka. Whatever it can do to save itself and get out of there and free itself, it's going to do, including digging under the wall, whatever it needs to do. And therefore, the fact that it got out is no surprise, and therefore you're going to be chayiv even if the animal dug under the wall. Hotziu listim chayovin. So he said that if the bandits come and the bandits take out the sheep, it's the bandits' responsibility now. So pshita, this is obvious. Came into apkua. Well, Rashi says, top Rashi of Nevav Mud Beis, Ika Meshicha V'shini Rishus. There's a Meshicha, They're right there. They're I don't know, pulling the animal. And there's oichet oshina rishus. It's changing domains. Dave knui l'chomili. It's a kinyan. It's theirs now. Of course, they have to take responsibility for it if it damages. Right again, pshita. It's obvious. Kim da'apkua. Since they took it out, kaimala b'shusayu. It's in their domain l'chomili for all things. So tzricha de kamula baipa. That they didn't take it with their hands and move it. They all stood around it and only kind of gave it one direction to go in. So they didn't actually move it with their physically. They just kind of only gave it one option and one direction to move in. Kiyada Amarav, it's like Amarav, Amarav Masna, Amarav, Hamaymid Bemas Chaver al Komas Chavero Chayev. That a person who puts his animal and his other friend's stuff, I guess, he's going to be chayev if the stuff gets damaged. But Maimid Pshita, obviously, if he's Maimid, if they took the animal and put it there, obviously they're chayiv. L'tzricha to come baipa, that they stood around it and kind of forced it to go there, but didn't actually, touch or move the animal. Amalei Abayli of Yosef says about of Yosef Ikisha al Maitlan, that the scenario of this animal being, put in front of their friend's grain and stuff, talking about where they hit it to go there. And that was considered enough to be considered a Meshicha. Velistim Namidi Kishua, and also in this scenario by the bandits, they gave it a hit. Alright. The Mishnah had said that if the animal is given to a shepherd, so then it's now the shepherd's responsibility. Okay, so Amrei Tachtav Deman. So they're giving it to the shepherd in place of who? Instead of who? If we're saying instead of the owner of the animal, so the owner of the animal gives his animal to a shepherd, so now it's the shepherd's responsibility, not the owner of the animal. We already have a Mishnah that says this. Misar l'shomer chinam, that if you give the animal to a shomer chinam, l'shoyel, a borrower, l'noisei a paid custodian, l'socher, or a renter, kula nichnasu tachas habaylim. They all take the place of the owner. So yeah, of course, once the owner gives it to the shepherd, it's no longer the owner's responsibility. Ella tachliv de shomer. Rather, we're talking about a shomer, a custodian, who gives the animal to a shepherd. Vishomer kama ipater le legamre, and the first shomer, right, the custodian who gives the animal to a shepherd, is now pater. The shepherd is responsible. Let's say this is a kasha on Ravid, that says Rav shomer shemasu the shomer chayiv. That Rav says that one custodian who gives this item to another custodian, so the first custodian is chayiv. So if you have a shomer who gives this animal to a shepherd, Rav would say that the first custodian would be chayiv. So Amalach Rava would say to you, no, what it means that he gives to the shepherd, it means that a shepherd gives the sheep to his student, and the student is taking the place of the shepherd. Because it's normal for a shepherd to give it to his student. So meaning, Rava would say that a custodian who gives what he's watching to another custodian, the original custodian is chayiv. But in this case, we're talking about a shepherd giving the sheep to a student to watch for him, which is a normal thing to do. So that student now, in this case, takes the responsibility from the shepherd. Where am I? Ikadamar, to those who explain the scenario a little bit differently, from the fact that it says that he gives it to a shepherd, but not that he gives it to just anybody else. Shmamina, my misar leroya, masar roya lebazile. What it means that he gave it to a shepherd means that the shepherd gave it to his student. The orche de roya lemimsu lebazile, because that's normal. It's normal for a shepherd to give a sheep to his student, and that's why the student takes the place of the shepherd. Aval leacher lo, but he can't just give it to anybody else. Random people. Misayele the Rava. This taka supports Rava. The Rava that says Rava shomer shemosu the shomer chayiv. That a custodian who gives it to another custodian chayiv. So it's a support for Rava. Amrei lo. They say no, it's not necessarily support for Rava. The Ma'orcha the Milsa Katani. maybe the reason why he mentions shepherd is because that's sort of the normal scenario: a shepherd giving a sheep to it to the student. But the same would apply also to other people, that the person who receives it would take the place of the original person, which would be a kasha on Rava. So it's inconclusive, friends. I think we're going to stop. We're going to stop here because the next bit is going to go on for a while. All right. Well, that was Daf Nun Vav. We talked about these things that are chayiv poter b'dinei adam v'chayiv b'dinei shamayim, and then we kind of continued in the Mishnah about digging under walls and things like that. And all right, that was Daf Nun Vav. Masechta BavaKama. Hope you enjoyed. Peace out.